basically, talking to you before, like, it totally lowered my expectations for the record, and then I heard it. I was completely blown away. I don't know a lot about, like, the whole, like, about this, you know, the recording, the story behind it, but I'm guessing it's, like, the quickest and most kind of intensely worked album you've ever done.
Most of the records I've done are sort of, the songs just accumulated. Like, I'll hook up with somebody and we'll record a few songs, and then the album kind of over a long period of time glues together, you know, all these songs come together. And this was just the first time I just gone into a studio. Let's book 2 weeks and just kind of do it.
Right.
And so it was done really quick, in a really short amount of time.
Do you have any preconceived idea stylistically of what you're going to do when you went in?
The only thing I had was the songs were written. And the other, Mel Gold and Odelay, most of the songs hadn't been written. I go into the studio, just kind of build these songs piece by piece, and then at the end, the song would be written. So I did everything backwards this time. I like had these songs, but nobody knew the songs. It was basically myself and several of the musicians set up in a room with mics, and there's a couple of songs where even we did the vocal live. And I was just trying to get that sound where every musician is in each other's microphone, you know? Like, music's recorded very separately now. Yeah. It's really antiseptic and sort of doesn't... There's not that quality of the song just being like this one piece. You hear, like, strings come in, and it'll just be, you know, it'll sound very separate from the track, and that's something that's really prized as a good quality and good sound and good engineering, good recording. I think we were trying to get something where it was just, you couldn't really tell what instrument was what.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, totally. I was wondering if those are string sections or samples.
No, those are actually string sections. Yeah, I'd never done that. It was fun. So the way we mixed it, we kind of turned the orchestra into more of an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Than an actual orchestra.
Because it's sort of like when the song ends, you feel almost like it was just going on in the background the whole time, and now you just noticed it.
Yeah, I wanted it to sound like a sea cave or something, you know. But I think that's like something really common in how music's made now, that people tend to record, like you can hear every little part. And I just like that thing where everything just washes together, and you can't really tell what's what. That goes back to the days when there was just one mic, so everything was being picked up in the same filter.
Yeah. Did you intentionally leave in, like, studio voices and things like that?
I always try to leave in the mistakes. That's the interesting stuff. Somebody walked into the room while you were doing the falsetto lead and said the burritos are here. You know, that's the best part usually. You know, that's the part that people remember.
And what were some of the mistakes that were left on this one?
Not too many. This is a pretty clean cut.
Right. Even the jam at the end of one that degenerates into this weird kind of...
Oh, with the noise and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a late night. That's on Canceled Check.
Yeah.
We'd rented all this percussion, and we had all this stuff, so the song sort of was dying out, and we didn't really know how to end it, so we just all went into the room and took all the stuff, and we had shakers and coffee cups, and stuff was just flying. It was this melee of studio gear, and people got hurt, actually. I think there's one part where you hear somebody was leaping into the air, and another guy stood up at the exact time, and they fell over, and it was a mess. But that's how we achieved that effect. We went that extra 3 centimeters for our art, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It was sort of a 3 a.m. Hollywood Studio B Threnody, you know?
And you put your blood into this record?
Yes,
yeah.
We do, in all of them.
There's like that weird...
Actually, my bass player on one of the songs was bleeding. He had blood on his finger. But he's into that, you know? Yeah. Doesn't really count.
And I was also going to ask the whole... I mean, I guess all the keyboards and the extra sounds and that's all Roger Manning? Or?
Yeah, no, I played a lot of them too, but he did, yeah, he played a lot. He's known as half of the Moog cookbook.
Right.
And so he had this arsenal of incredible synthesizers and just things that should be in museums. It was every day he never ceased to amaze us with some crazy, Italian organ that looked like a vitamin or something. A giant, things that didn't even need to make music. They were just so beautiful or strange.
Yeah. And what were some of the things he used?
I wouldn't know all the names. There was so many of them, but I guess there was some Moog. A lot of older analog type synthesizers. I was always the one trying to bring in more newer, modern, more mass-produced, contemporary stuff. I'm always interested in trying to get those kind of instruments to sound cool. It's pretty easy to plug in something from the early 70s and it's like, oh, it's great. You've heard it on a million records before. I think it's kind of interesting to take something that hasn't been really used. Or I think a lot of keyboards now tend to have a lot of techno and rave sounds, and nobody really uses those sounds in the context of singer-songwriter things. So I brought a few keyboards like that, a few of those kind of elements.
And whose idea was the harpsichord?
What's that?
Isn't there, I hear a harpsichord in there?
Yeah, I really wanted to use a harpsichord. Thing is, you got to tune the thing every day. It's the thing goes out of tune every hour, and there's hundreds of strings, and it's the most insanely high maintenance instrument ever invented. But it's just so pleasing.
Yeah.
The real one.
And it's in that We Live Again, right? It's got a total incense and peppermints vibe.
Right.
Yeah. It's sort of I can't remember, there's some lyric about the children, and it's sort of this it seems like a really California song to me or something, kind of almost like something the Mamas and Papas or something really.
I guess, that's the thing about making a record that you don't really, certain things about yourself you didn't know before it come out, tendencies and, it's almost this unconscious thing, you wouldn't really know, but I guess it makes sense coming from California, that kind of stuff. You can't help it coming out. It's just whether you like it or not. But I think I personally, I really wanted to make a conscious effort to put some really dainty-ass music on the record, And
there's one...
I think it's time, It's...
Because, that's the other thing that I noticed is that this maybe is the first record we really... your singing's completely changed. It
really?
Seems, I think,
I think on the other records, so far, it's usually the singing's the last thing we do. It's we've been recording for 18 hours. Okay, throw up a mic, put down a vocal, It's there's not much is put into it. We don't even bother to get a nice mic or anything. I think on Odelay I was singing through a guitar amp mic or something, And this time I think it was probably also because I had a lot of the musicians from my band, my touring band, and we were going for this more performative thing, try to make it more dynamic, more like a show, like how it would be live. So there was more of an effort to make it a performance.
Yeah, because also I was also thinking this is the first, there are certain words that people always use about you and stuff like that. And one is channel surfing. This is the first record where you could really, where that doesn't apply.
Right. I think I probably enjoy listening to mixtapes more than an album. But then sometimes there's that one album where it has one mood through it, and you just, when you're in that mood, you just want to hear that. And sometimes it goes for weeks and weeks. You just want to hear it over and over. And this record does swerve around in different areas, but it does have this continuity, I think.
Yeah, right. It has variety, but it has the consistency of tone. And maybe that's also because it's recorded over a real short period of time too.
Yeah, there's a good energy in the record because we did it so fast. We'd usually come in the morning. I just show everybody how the song went. We'd practice it for 20 minutes, and they'd throw up the mics, and we'd just put it down. And then by the end of the day, the song would usually be done, and Nigel would spend about half an hour maybe mixing it. And then the next day we would start on a whole new song. So it was really energizing, because a lot of times making albums can, I think, can get really demoralizing. I don't know if people realize, people spend 2 months on one song. You're just in it every day. You're just picking it apart. People spend days on a hi-hat sound. You can spend weeks just mixing a song. It can just drag on, and I think creatively it's just really frustrating. So I think we were confined to doing the record in 2 weeks because the producer Nigel had other commitments.
Yeah.
We knew the album was done when the car service came to pick him up to take him to the airport. I was like putting the vocals on the last song, and the car pulled up, and somebody like yelled in or beeped in on the intercom, the car service here, his plane's leaving an hour and 20 minutes, and it was rush hour on a Friday, and he's just like hurrying up, and then we all just went and put him in the car, waved, and it's like, okay, I guess that's it, In a way that we're having such a great time, and there's such a good atmosphere. I think we could have just kept going and going and going.
And I also was wondering,
but then we would have to come out with like of course, the triple CD.
Yeah, totally.
The
box set.
That would have been a little more hip hop of us, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Like, Wu-Tang style.
Yeah.
And then you'd have all these posthumous, unreleased tapes that'd be coming out.
Right.
Because I was wondering, it seems like you're almost getting into this pattern, and maybe it's not intentionally or not, of like kind of doing a more, there's acoustic record than, a sort of hip hop folk mishmash record.
Right.
Do you kind of see this pattern developing, and are you liking it or not liking it? Or you just
I don't know. I think maybe it's too early to tell if there's a pattern emerging, but I tend to feel, especially after touring, because our shows are much more kind of energy driven, and there's a sort of broadness to the music. It's really just kind of rock and the hip hop stuff, and I think we want to drop some delicate beats. Because
you I've never, you were just a total workhorse with Odelay,
I know.
Just insanely.
I know.
It's like a public record for, it was on at every party I went to for
oh, really?
a long time. Whereas,
see, I don't know this.
And this one seems like it's one that, because it just works best for me when it's like on my headphones or something like that.
It's a headphone record, yeah. It's like the Walkman record, yeah.
Yeah.
Step into your own world, or it's more for those mid-afternoon reveries that we all enjoy.
Yeah.
We're tumbling through the high green grasses or the meadows,
or something like that. And also because
the delicate stuff,
the sensitive stuff for the ladies.
Yes, and the gentlemen, because I think this record, we really just wanted to make the gentleman cry realistic tears. It's important. Doing this record was really good for myself and the band. We desperately needed it. We just needed to, after working on the road that long, you just feel kind of bottled up. We just kind of needed to go and do something really quick. And now I'm working on a new record for next year, and I'm kind of at ease because I know I did this record and kind of got that out of my system. Now I can take my time with this. I'm not in a rush to sort of just do something, anything,
Yeah, because I think, because I was always wondering where this, is that a danger? Like people expect, you know what I mean? People are like, okay, here's the new Beck record, and expect
right.
Some kind of hip hop thing, or something they can put in their car and turn up and play at a party.
Right. Yeah. I don't. This record's more kind of a parenthetical addition to the equation. It's not like the big bottom line. We're adding it all up, and this is the sum total. Yeah. It's the. The next record I'm working on is probably about as opposite from Mutations as you can get. It's going to be a bit more bombastic.
So for some reason I heard a rumor. I thought you were saying that you were working with different hip hop people on this record, but maybe there was just some
hip hop. Yeah, well, there's going to be more hip hop elements, but I think I don't know, the hip-hop world's just so rigid. I could never measure up to the stringent secret code. I don't know what it is, like I don't know what you have to do to be hip-hop.
Yeah.
All I know is that whenever I try to do something, that ain't hip-hop. You know? So I figure if I just go as un-hip-hop as possible, maybe I'll just some inverse hip-hopness will come in
like,
to play.
Because the other thing I was like thinking is when you were, and it goes back to what you're saying about this being the parentheses and not the summation you always called like.
I wouldn't say parentheses, I'd say parenthetical.
Parenthetical.
Sort.
Because you'd always called like Mellow Gold your first record, Odelay your second, and there were really all those others like Stereopathic, Soul Manure, and One from the Grave. And so does that mean this is your third one, or it's like 2.5?
Mellow Gold's, yeah, that's the last one. I'm working backwards. Yeah. I don't know. We're like in random order times anyway. People are just going to put all my records into a CD changer and put it on random, and you know, it's all going to be like a song from different places, and who knows, chronology is obsolete.
Yeah, that's cool. And then, are you going to tour for this one, like Odelay, or not?
No. I'm not touring. There'll probably be some random appearances. Like appearances. We don't play live. We just do appearances.
And like, what are your? I mean, I feel like everyone has all these expectations of you, but like, what are your expectations for the record? Like, what would be the ideal way it would kind of come out and settle?
Well, I hope that people just buy it and burn it. You know, I hope there's mass protests in the street, some kind of movement to ban the record. Hopefully, I think would be the best outcome for me. That would be the mark of success for this project.
Because there's some controversial stuff on there.
Yeah, there's some very controversial things, and I think people are going to be really up in arms, and a lot of stores won't even carry it because there's some very offensive harpsichords, but it's artistic, you know. And
like, what were some of the things you had to go through on a personal level to achieve this? What you had to sacrifice inside yourself?
I shed all my skin, and once I did that, I spent 15 days in the New Mexico desert on top of a mesa with a medicine man. And I think in those days I reached insights, you know, that haven't been reached in at least the last 15 minutes. And really I took a lot upon myself to do this, but, you know, there's something bigger at hand. It's large.
I mean, it's not
like in girth, I think it's really large in width.
3-dimensionally or more dimensions?
Well, we're working on 3-dimensional. There's actually no videos for the record, but we are coming out with an IMAX film, and it is 3D. And some of the effects, the 3D image will actually go behind you, and so it'll. I think if people are, you know, if they've listened to the album enough, they can go to the film, and it becomes 4-dimensional. You know, most people would just go with 3 dimensions, and with this, you know, we felt we had to go the extra dimension, 4 dimensions. I mean, I think 3 has been done. It's sort of passé, and this is the dawning of a new age. And you know, when I was in New Mexico and I reached the 17th insight of, well, actually, when I got to the 14th insight.